The question landed like a crack of thunder in a glass-walled boardroom, the kind that freezes time and steals breath. The CEO had only meant to clarify a misunderstanding, but the moment the words left her mouth, she felt the weight of them sink into the silence. "Why does your daughter call me mommy?" Across the polished table sat a man who had mastered spreadsheets, deadlines, and grief in equal measure, and for the first time since she had known him, his carefully controlled expression fractured, revealing a story far deeper than quarterly reports and corporate titles. Before the story pulls you all the way in, take a second right now and show some love to this channel. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles life hides in ordinary days, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, subscribe for more heartfelt stories, and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Your support truly keeps stories like this alive. Ethan Carter had been with the company for 3 years, rising faster than anyone expected, not because he played office politics, but because he worked as if failure was not an option. To most people at Horizon Dynamics, he was the dependable senior analyst who arrived early, left late, and never complained. To the CEO, Laura Whitmore, he was a mystery wrapped in competence. She had noticed the faint tiredness under his eyes during early meetings and the way he always declined after-work drinks, offering polite excuses that never sounded rehearsed. She respected his professionalism, but she did not know his life. Not really. Everything shifted the afternoon Ethan brought his daughter to the office. It was an emergency, the kind only parents understand. The daycare had closed unexpectedly due to a power failure, and his usual backup had fallen ill. Ethan had stood in the parking lot with his phone pressed to his ear, his daughter Lily holding his hand, her small fingers warm and trusting. Missing the meeting was not an option. He had worked on that proposal for weeks. So he made a decision that terrified him more than any presentation ever could. He brought Lily to work. Lily was 6 years old, with curious eyes and a quiet bravery that came from growing up faster than she should have. She clutched a worn backpack filled with crayons and a stuffed rabbit missing one ear. Ethan settled her in a corner of the conference room with a tablet and whispered promises that he would be close. She nodded, used to trusting him completely. The meeting began like any other until Laura noticed the small presence by the window. Lily's eyes followed the conversation, not understanding the words but sensing the importance. At one point, Laura offered her a warm smile, the kind reserved for children who wander into adult spaces. Lily smiled back, then returned to her drawing. When the meeting ended, Laura approached Ethan to compliment his work. Lily tugged at Ethan's sleeve and looked up at Laura with innocent certainty. She reached out, touching the fabric of Laura's blazer, and called her mommy with a soft, unquestioning warmth that filled the room. The air shifted. Laura froze, unsure whether she had heard correctly. Ethan went pale, apologizing quickly, ushering Lily away with embarrassed urgency. Laura assured him it was fine, but the word echoed in her mind long after they left the room. Why would a child call a stranger mommy? That question followed her for days. Laura Whitmore was not a woman easily unsettled. She had built her career through discipline, strategy, and emotional restraint. She had no children, no time for attachments she could not control. Yet something about that moment lingered, stirring a part of her she rarely acknowledged. When she finally asked Ethan about it, she expected a simple explanation. What she received instead changed both of them. Ethan did not answer immediately. He looked out through the glass wall at the city below, its endless motion mirroring the life he had been running just to keep up with. When he finally spoke, his voice carried years of carefully packed pain. Lily had been calling women mommy since she learned the word, he explained, not because she was confused, but because she was searching. Her mother, Emily, had died when Lily was 2, taken by a sudden illness that left no time for goodbyes. Lily had grown up with photographs and stories, but no memories strong enough to anchor the word she heard other children use so freely. Ethan had tried to be everything at once. Father, mother, provider, comforter. He learned to braid hair by watching late-night videos, learned to pack lunches shaped like smiles, learned to cry silently in the bathroom so Lily would not hear. He told her stories about her mother every night, careful not to let grief become bitterness. But children feel absence in ways adults cannot explain. Sometimes Lily would see kindness in a woman's eyes and reach for the word that meant safety, warmth, and love. Ethan admitted he usually corrected her gently, but that day, overwhelmed and afraid of losing his job, he had not reacted fast enough. The apology he offered Laura was sincere, but what stunned her was not his regret. It was his honesty. He did not ask for sympathy. He did not try to soften the truth. He simply shared it. Laura felt something inside her shift, like a door opening she had kept locked for decades. In the weeks that followed, Laura found herself noticing Ethan and Lily in small ways. She approved flexible hours for him without drawing attention to it. She arranged for a quiet office where Lily could sit with coloring books when emergencies happened again. She told herself it was practicality, good leadership. But deep down, she knew it was something else. Lily, for her part, adapted to the office like a tiny sunbeam. She greeted receptionists, waved at employees, and drew pictures that found their way onto bulletin boards. She always smiled at Laura, that same calm, trusting smile, though she never repeated the word again. Laura noticed how careful Lily was, how she watched adults for cues, how she mirrored emotions with a sensitivity that spoke of loss and resilience. Ethan continued to work harder than ever, driven not by ambition, but by gratitude and fear. He had learned long ago that stability could disappear overnight. Every success felt temporary, every calm moment fragile. He did not allow himself to hope for more than survival. Laura, meanwhile, found herself remembering her own childhood. A mother lost to distance rather than death, a father who taught her strength but not softness. She had built walls so high she forgot what lay on the other side. Watching Ethan and Lily chipped at those walls, piece by piece. Change came quietly. Laura began staying later, not to oversee work, but to share a cup of tea with Lily while Ethan finished reports. She listened to Lily talk about school, about missing her mommy, about how her daddy tried his best even when he looked sad. Laura did not offer advice. She offered presence. Ethan noticed the difference but did not question it. He had learned not to interrogate kindness. One rainy evening, as the office lights dimmed and the city blurred into reflections, Lily fell asleep on the couch, her head resting against Laura's arm. Laura did not move. She felt the weight of that small trust settle into her bones. In that moment, she understood what the word mommy truly meant. It was not biology. It was safety. It was staying when it would be easier to leave. Life has a way of testing fragile beginnings. When a major client threatened to pull out, pressure rippled through the company. Long hours returned, tension thickened the air. Ethan worried constantly about layoffs. Laura carried the burden of leadership silently. Lily sensed the strain and grew quieter, clinging closer to the adults who made her feel safe. The crisis passed, but something else emerged in its place. Laura realized she did not want the connection to end. She had found something she never knew she was missing, and the thought of returning to her carefully isolated life felt unbearable. One afternoon, as Lily showed Laura a drawing of 3 figures holding hands, Laura felt tears rise without warning. She excused herself, retreating to her office, confronting emotions she had long denied. She understood then that love did not always arrive with certainty or permission. Sometimes it crept in through unexpected doors. Ethan never asked for more. He never assumed. That restraint, that respect, only deepened Laura's admiration. Time passed, and routines became traditions. Birthdays were celebrated together. School events were attended side by side. Lily stopped calling Laura mommy out loud, but she held her hand with the same familiarity. The word lived in gestures now, in shared glances and in spoken understanding. One evening, after Lily had gone to bed, Ethan sat alone, reflecting on how far they had come. He allowed himself to imagine a future that did not feel so lonely. Not perfect, not guaranteed, but possible. Laura stood at her apartment window that same night, watching the city lights, realizing that success meant nothing if it could not be shared. When the moment finally came, it was not dramatic. No grand declarations, just truth spoken gently. Laura told Ethan she cared for Lily, and for him, in ways she had never allowed herself before. Ethan listened, his heart pounding, afraid to breathe too deeply in case the moment shattered. He responded with the same honesty he always carried, admitting his fear, his hope, his gratitude. Lily sensed the shift long before words confirmed it. Children always do. Years later, when people asked how a powerful CEO and a single father built a family from broken pieces, Laura would smile softly. She would remember a boardroom, a small voice, and a question that changed everything. If this story has been quietly wrapping itself around your heart, if it reminded you that love can find us even when we are not looking, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs comfort, and let your engagement tell us that stories like this matter. And before this story ends, we would truly love to hear from you, so please comment and tell us what part of this journey touched you the most, or what this story made you feel. In the end, Lily did not need to search anymore. She grew up knowing that families are not defined by loss, but by who chooses to stay. And Laura learned that sometimes the most powerful answer to an unexpected question is simply a life lived with open hands and an open heart.